next topic, which is key impediments while moving from enterprise release model, Big Bang approach to delivery every sprint. Okay. So, Sumit, do you want to share some inside context?
I mean, that's so every program I've been part of, I think that has been a key challenge where they are used to working in a very age-old release, enterprise release kind of model where they plan a release 6 months from today, and then they always end up struggling to meet those timelines, right? So I think it's key for any organization to start moving to a smaller delivery and frequent deliveries, preferably at the end of every sprint. Uh, so there are typical issues that we always encounter, which is mainly around the mindsets, maybe around the testing processes. But just keen to discuss and have that brainstorming session as to have you guys encountered this in your in your projects, current or previous, and how did you manage to tackle it? Because I'm actually facing this problem even right now, but keen to know if there are new learnings out there.
Cool. Vimat, do you want to share whatever experience you have got so far? I don't want to steal the thunder, so I'll go last.
Yeah, I have to think about it. So if you can move on or send it, then that's fine.
Sure. So again, if I look at this, we are talking about impediments while moving from enterprise release model, which is big bang. It might be once a year release, or
Correct.
once a quarter, or once a half year release, typical waterfallish release,
Yep.
towards release with a small cadence, like release
Correct.
every sprint. So there are a few things which I have seen, and while I'm working in few organizations, I have found that there isn't one size fit all approach. So you need to understand the context. So if someone is able to deliver certain things once a 2 year, for them, even if you deliver something once a 6 month, that will be win rather than once a sprint. If someone is delivering something once a quarter, for them once a month might be big win. And now the way you can do is that first of all you can start by identifying how those work items have been created. What's a definition of value in for that team or for that group, right? So you can start with definition in terms of revenue, value dimension definition. Like, are we looking to increase revenue? Are we looking to increase customer experience? Are we trying to have cost out, like decrease in cost? Are we trying to mitigate certain risk? And is it something which is time critical, so on and so forth. And once we have got all those value parameters, uh, what will happen, you will understand that through which different lenses you have to look at that particular big piece of work, right? So if it is something which is time critical, needs to be delivered, let's say before end of this year, because we want to launch before Christmas festival starts, or let's say we want to deliver something in September because there is a regulatory requirements where we need to support 5G rollout, right? Now in that case, using that, you might force team members to think differently and slice that big chunk into small chunks. So there are different decomposition techniques which you can apply. You can look at those value parameters. Plus, on another side, by looking at the type of work, you can ask them, okay, what type of customers we are serving, which different market segments we are serving, what different type of products we are serving, is there anything which is at the heart of the product or solution, right? You can ask them to follow the lean startup approach and ask them that, okay, let's assume, I know we are saying that this is going to take six months. Let's say that if our stakeholder comes and says that we have got funding only for 3 months, and after that we don't have, by a hook or crook, you are supposed to do certain things. At the same time, you don't want to work overtime, you don't want to hamper your personal life, you don't want to spend time during weekend working. Now and while doing that, you want to meet whatever those customer requirements are. So can you please tell me what are those things which we will be able to deliver at the end of 3 months and can be used by our customer? So that concept is called as a not minimal viable product, it's called minimal business increment, right? So something which can deliver business outcome and customer will be willing to pay. MVP is all about providing hypothesis working, and ensuring that whatever we think will work is working. So by taking that approach, you can break that big item into small chunks, And then if current as per big bang approach, if it's going to take several years, we can see how it can be done in a yearly fashion. If it takes 1 year, how it can be done at least half a year cycle. So there's no rocket science. It's all about decomposing work into small batches, relatively small batches, and having clear understanding. Okay, if you have got something which will be delivered in 3 months time rather than 1 year, which of those value parameters we are able to improve, right? Which, how customer is going to realize value. And are we, when we talk about benefit hypothesis, which market segment, which customer segment, what's the expected behavior, what's our success criteria. So you can tie it back to all those business drivers and value parameters and define that small chunk and ask team members to focus on it. Quite often you need to work hand in hand with business stakeholders and product owners or product management to come up with this idea, because uh, whole thing is that team members need that confidence that if they just invest time on one thing, uh, no one is going to come back and then question them why you are working on it. So it's more collaborative and value driven approach rather than saying that okay, let's deliver something at the end of 3 months even if it doesn't add any value.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What I also saw in a previous company of mine was that we had a release cadence of every quarter, but we also worked in sprints, so we could deliver every sprint, and we did. But then it all piles up until the quarter release. But we could make it all smaller and release per sprint.
Yeah. So the thing is that it might happen, and it again goes back to that model wherein you might be ready to release, but is it the right time, right market, and right environment to release? So as a product owner, product manager, you might decide to release on demand, release on existing market circumstances, even though team members have built something, and you can leverage those toggle on, toggle off features to ensure that that functionality is available but no one is using. But at the same time, you can see whether that is adding any value or is it impacting existing business operation environment or not.
Awesome. That really helps. Especially the minimum business increment point that you mentioned. I think
Yeah.
that's
And,
really
and
good.
and and the way it happens is that if you have got an existing solution which is tried tested, you can have this business minimum business increments. Quite often people confuse MBI with MVP. MVP is done when, let's say, we are coming up with a new platform, new solution, no one has used it. Now as a
Correct.
technical team, internally we want to validate that this is going to work before we invest more and expand features and ask team members to work on all those good to have features. So that's a MVP. MBI is more about, once you do MVP, you pick and choose. Okay, there are two, three things. Only when we deliver those things, customers will be willing to pay. And then you bundle it together and have that release. Probably, rather than every sprint, you will release it once. 2 or 3 sprints are done and take it forward.